Greetings and welcome back to room 303 in our chats with Emily, as we are calling our readings through the poetry of Emily Dickinson. We are in the Johnson edition. We turned out a poem 660, "'Tis Good, the Looking Back on Grief." Now, in many ways, we're back to poem 241. You will maybe remember this one. I like a look of agony because I know it's true. Men do not sham convulsion nor stimulate a throe. The eyes glaze once, and that is death, impossible to feign. The beads upon the forehead by homely anguish strong. Now, we're back to another theodicy. Notice the use of the word woe here, which will take us back to our study of Milton in Paradise Lost and those opening lines. Man's first disobedience and the fruit of that forbidden tree, which mortal taste brought death into the world, and all our woe. We'll come back to it. Now, our assumption is you've been following our stuff at learnstrong.net. Down that left-hand side, Chats with Emily is our playlist. I'm hoping that you worked through our set of introductory comments where one of the things we pointed out was that we're dealing with each one of these poems using our, as we call them, the big five in room 303. What does this text say about epistemology, what you can know, ontology, who you are, psychology, the study of the individual mind, sociology, the study of the collective or group mind, and then the fifth one was what? Theodicy. Theo, of course, of related to deity. Dike, the Greek etymological root for justice. In other words, what Milton called to justify the ways of God to man. Why must there be pain and suffering in the world? If I could hit a button and just remove all the pain and the suffering and the agony, the woe of the world, would I do it? This is an interesting question, and Emily will play the game of the propedeutic, instructional, didactic value of pain or suffering or woe. Our other assumption is that you've already worked through the preceding 659 poems. We just finished with 659 the first day. And if you have all kinds of echoes, you will notice that Emily is one of the great poets of grief or suffering, or woe for that matter, right? And in the end, as we have said, Emily's answer to the theodicy question, why must there be pain and suffering, is no longer ask, why did this happen to me, but rather for me. Of course, when you change that 2 to a 4, you're no longer the victim in a universe where you have no power and control. And I think all of Emily's project can be understood on one level as coming to terms with the pain and suffering, not only of her own life, but the woe of the world. And it is, in many ways, another poem about memory, about looking back, about recollecting, and the power of recollecting. And she'll call it, sounding very much like the opening language of the King James Bible she loves so much, Genesis 1, God saw that it was good. Notice the use here. 'Tis good, the looking back on grief, to re-endure a day we thought the mighty funeral of all conceived joy, to recollect how busy grass did meddle one by one, till all the grief with summer waved and none could see the stone. And though the woe you have today be larger as the sea, exceeds its unremembered drop, their water equally. In other words, the argument that she is going to make here is that, no, this is all the way it must be. The pain, the woe of the world. So begin with it's good. The looking back on grief. Again, we're back to 241. To re-endure a day. It's the only time she used this phrase, re-endure. To re-endure a day, by the way, remember her use of the word day in the previous poem? We, notice she joins you into this poem, from we to you in a bit. We thought the mighty funeral, you'll remember funeral when we did 280, right? That brilliant poem. I felt a funeral in my brain, and mourners to and fro kept treading till it seemed that sense was breaking through. You'll remember that one. Did meddle one by one. Notice she'll say it. She says, we thought the mighty funeral of all conceived joy. We go from day to today, by the way, later in the poem. Think about the power of the use of the word joy here. To recollect. And I think, there's that famous James from the King James Bible. There's that famous James passage, count it all joy, my brothers, when you experience great pain. Remember that I think this is standing behind this as well. Notice she'll say it, to recollect, to remember how busy grass did meddle. Of course, amazing, right, that she'll mention grass, given she's a contemporary of Walt Whitman's. We've given full lectures on all of the poems of Leaves of Grass in our series called Talks with Walt. Notice, busy grass did meddle one by one till all the grief, notice we go to the first line again, with summer waved and none could see the stone. In other words, think about the death itself of an individual. And you put him in the ground, and then grass covers it. Of course, we're back to Song of Myself, passage 6, no doubt. What does he say about death? Different from what anyone supposed and luckier. She's channeling, ironically, although she never read that and never read Whitman, apparently, she's still playing the same game. Till all the grief with summer waved and none could see the stone. That is the nature of grief. In the end, it always seems to somehow pass. And though the woe, and here we're back to Paradise Lost, right? You have today, notice the you, it makes it very personal, right? Chats with Emily. Be larger as the sea exceeds its unremembered drop. Their water equally, in other words, at 2a, you can and you will endure any grief, any sorrow, as you prepare, of course, for the last woe, which, as we know, is Beowulf's dragon, right? Death. At 2b, I love the idea of the repetition here, looking back, recollecting day to day. At 3a, well, obviously we mentioned our Milton, but we have to mention our Dante as well. We've given full lectures on the Divine Comedy at learnstrong.net. But what is it that Dante argues, as Dante, the writer, it being Dante the Pilgrim? We don't go to hell, he argues, but rather what? We go through hell to get to Paradiso, to get to that final version of delight. And finally, at 3b, what was a time when you learned to ask, why did this happen, not to me, but rather for me? I hope Emily's poems are challenging you. Thank you.